Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever, everybody. This is Jason Butt, the host of the UGAsports.com Quick Take. And hey, 1 day away. That's it. And then you got Georgia, Ohio State, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, college football playoff. Doesn't get much bigger than that, except for the national championship, of course, which is the ultimate goal, which is what both teams playing in this game will be trying to get to. First, you've got Michigan and TCU in the 4 o'clock slot, and then at 8, you've got Georgia and Ohio State, the main event, the matchup I think most people are anticipating due to the high-powered nature. I think you've got obviously with Georgia Ohio State, the billing is a lot of offense. Even though both teams have good defenses, Georgia has one of the more elite defenses in the country. Obviously, the LSU game in the SEC championship, they gave up 30. But otherwise, throughout the rest of the year, you look at what they did against Tennessee. You look at what they did against South Carolina early in the year, especially. You look at what they were able to do just week in, week out. In conference play against Oregon, for that matter, in week 1, and then Oregon, of course, turned it on against just about everybody else that they played. So you look at Georgia's defense still as elite as they are. I think a lot of people are expecting points to be scored. It gives you that similar feel to Georgia Tennessee, where myself included thought that game could be a shootout, and then of course it wasn't. It was 27-13 with Georgia sitting on the ball in the fourth quarter, really the whole second half for that matter. Once the rain started coming down, but so we'll see if the expectation is correct. We'll see. If the defenses do step up, we'll see what Stetson Bennett does in yet another big moment. This guy, seems to play some of his best football, if not just his actual best football, when the games are at its highest level. It makes you think back to when he was playing against Alabama in 2020 in the COVID year, and he did not have his best game, and people wanted to run him out of the university at that point. And you look from that moment to now and kind of the big game level that he plays at now compared to where he was just a couple of years ago. Heisman Trophy finalist. Just a great story there, obviously. So how do I see this game? That's a great question. I basically set this whole thing up with I could see it playing out in multiple factions. I just don't know. On UJSports.com for our predictions, I predicted 31-17 Georgia, which, to be honest, that's just my feel based on how the season's gone. I feel, especially with a lot of the bettors thinking Georgia covers, especially with how Georgia's defense has stepped up in big games. You look at the story going into Tennessee where, having 2 defensive coordinators, Kirby Smart said, hey, Will Muschamp, you focus on Tennessee. Myself and Glenn Schumann will focus on Florida. So, I think, you give this coaching staff time to prepare, and you like the advantage there. Coaching, I honestly think that Kirby and people like Nick Saban, a lot of these great coaches, they would even say this too. Coaching loses games more than it wins games, and this staff rarely. I mean, I can think of maybe 1 or 2 times in Kirby Smart's tenure where you're like, wow, coaching cost them that game. The coaching is never a detriment to a team. Now, at the end of the day, the players are the ones who win games. Like, the players have to execute. The players have to do what's necessary on the football field. And therefore, coaching is that kind of that random aspect that often gets in the way and harms across the board more than it helps. Because coaching, you can give a directive, you can give a call, but at the end of the day, the players regardless have to execute the call. Now, it could be a bad call, and then that's where things kind of slide away, because it can also be a good call. The players don't execute, and we're getting off on a tangent here. Point is, Georgia's coaches never or rarely get in the way. And so you like that aspect in this game. You like the fact that Georgia has a disciplined team. You like the fact that Georgia has an elite team. You like the fact that the players have all season played, at that consistent level. Really, maybe with the exception of some of the plays allowed in the LSU game, but then the offense stepped up and scored 43 of those 50 points. So if coaching isn't going to be a detriment, you like the fact that you like that going into this game. Obviously, Ryan Day in Ohio State has a good staff too. But if you go coach to coach, you compare, you kind of like the experience and the depth of knowledge and really breadth of knowledge that Georgia has. So, that's really why I picked 31-17. But I could see this, and I am confident that Georgia covers. I put that, I put my name on that on Wednesday. But I could still see this going anyway. I don't think it's like a set in stone. This is how the game's going to play out. Now, one stat I will leave you guys with before we go, and that is points per play, offense and defense. And this is where I am. I think Georgia has the advantage in the run game, right? I think, obviously you saw what happened against Michigan. And again, strength of schedule is important. You look at who Ohio State has played. You look at who, and then look at how they performed against Michigan in their biggest moment. You look at who Georgia has played and look who they've played in their biggest moments, which I think is very important because you're talking about games against Tennessee, LSU, Oregon, as opposed to who Ohio State has played. And but this is the stat that does keep me up at night a little bit, if metaphorically speaking. Points per play. Ohio State, number 1 in the country, over half a point per play, 0.653. Georgia, however, number 6, 0.561. And we all know that Ohio State wants to keep the gas or keep the pedal on the gas. They want to just go, go, go. Whereas Georgia gets up, they go, 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 and then they stall. And then they say, okay, we're riding this out. So obviously, and then the Kentucky game too. So that's kind of where that discrepancy 1-6 is. But obviously, Georgia, explosive offense. Ohio State, though, the most, pun intended, the most explosive offense in the country. Opponent points per play, Georgia, number 3, 0.214 points per play allowed. Ohio State, not too far off, number 16 in the country, 0.297 points per play allowed. And the reason why that causes hesitancy from me is you look at the list of teams when it comes to opponent points per play, and Alabama's on it. Georgia didn't play Alabama, obviously. They have some common opponents. Tennessee's down at 22. You keep going down, and that's where you start seeing, oh, well, Georgia really, in terms of going against top-notch defenses, Kentucky's number 30. You keep scrolling. This might be the best defense that Georgia faces all season long, and so that's the one area where you just kind of shrug and you're like, okay, well, I think this is going to happen, but I'm not 100% certain. So we'll see. We got a little more than 24 hours to go, and then we will have kickoff in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I am predicting a Georgia win. I'm probably 65-70% confident in it. So we'll have to see it play out. On that note, thanks so much, guys, for tuning in all week. If you haven't, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go to the UGAsports.com dog vent and subscribe there. It's the best UGA community for Georgia sports on the World Wide Web. You guys have been awesome. I have been Jason Butt. Y'all take care.